Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm gonna be reacting to a video called Top 10 British Bands Who Never Cracked America. So this is, I don't really know, I'm guessing it's like British bands that never like made it to the US. But I think in this day and age, maybe this is like from times past, because I think in this day and age, I think it's more common for bands to just sort of like transcend because of the internet. But I'm guessing like way back in the day, I think it was maybe a little bit harder for bands to actually like, oh, we break through. But I don't really know if like, even if you're from another country, I think usually like you get the sense of like, oh, we made it, like once we actually made it to the US. So maybe this is what it is. But this is making me like very, very, very curious because I'm wondering how many of this I know. But let's check it out and comment, like and subscribe.
These musical groups found fame in the UK, but they remained relatively obscure in the US.
I don't think I've known them.
Welcome to WatchMojo UK, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 British bands who never cracked America. Before we begin, we publish new videos every day, so be sure to subscribe for more great content. For this list, we're focusing on bands that never experienced continuous commercial success in America.
Interesting, because I think like commercial success, I think it means one thing, but it, sells. But also I think you can have fans, and fans are equally important, although that doesn't translate well into, like, doesn't pay the bills.
Number 10, Supergrass.
Oh, I think I know that song, but I've never heard of this band.
For a British band to successfully cross over into America, it's crucial to capitalise upon the buzz. And for Oxford group Supergrass, well, they failed to expand beyond their native demographic.
Oh my god, that's sad. That background of like with the palm trees and the sort of like the sunset, I think that's a wallpaper that was incredibly popular, I think in the, probably like the early 2000s, I would say.
With their 1995 debut album I Should Coco, Supergrass briefly reached the #1 in the UK charts and actually released 2 more albums by the end of the 90s. By that time though, music trends had changed significantly in the US and, well, Supergrass began to drift away, barely cracking the US top 200 with 2002's Life on Other Planets. Sadly, it all ended with an internal Twitter beef. Number 9, Madness.
Like between them? No, I've never heard of them.
During the late 70s and early 80s, this band was far more than just a one-hit wonder in the UK. In fact, Madness would even influence the American band that would ultimately become No Doubt.
Oh no, but... Oh yeah, okay, yes, I know this song. I think those are like one-hit wonders, I think, from my perspective.
And like Gwen Stefani's versatile group, Madness didn't align themselves with a specific genre, as they blended together a variety of musical styles.
Isn't this like
With
pop?
that being said, Madness was, in fact, linked to skinheads in their early days, which perhaps negatively affected larger-scale opportunities.
Probably,
Regardless, the UK band experienced great success during their initial 10-year run, but never once did one of their acclaimed albums crack the US Top 100 charts.
Oh yeah, I know this song as well.
Number 8, Take That.
I guess now it's time.
Na-na-na-na-na. Isn't this?
By the mid-90s, the legendary music executive Clive Davis signed this UK boy band to a record deal with Arista, but Take That had already begun to self-destruct.
So come on, get it.
I think like boy bands, are there still a concept? Yes, of course. I think now it's like K-pop, but like boy bands as a concept, I think I'm so surprised by the fact there's like so many of them, because they have existed since like the history of like modern pop music, or just music in general.
In their prime, Gary Barlow stunned critics with his songwriting skills, and a young Robbie Williams displayed his obvious star power. And so, Take That seemed prime for America. Yet Williams quit in 1996, just as the pop scene was about to change in the United States.
Change to what?
The group initially formed in the early 90s, and despite 3 well-received albums, Take That just didn't seem to have the right amount of mojo to keep it going. Although the core members would later reunite with Williams in 2010.
Okay. Oh, but like for one concert? They sound good.
Kasabian.
I know this song as
American
well.
indie fans have certainly heard
This is very funny because I think I know the songs. I just never heard of like the band.
of this group from Leicester, despite
And less of all to know they're British. That's like, oh, I didn't know that.
the fact that Kasabian's lead singer Sergio Pizzorno once noted that he hates indie bands. So that's one thing
he's
to
one of
consider
them?
when thinking about Kasabian's failed American crossover.
Yeah, I don't think I know that one.
In the UK, they reached number 4 on the UK charts with their self-titled 2004 debut, and the next several albums managed to reach number 1.
Oh, but that's
Fighting
good.
for committed American crossover.
Yeah, like if they all like split up and it's like we're breaking up, then yes, what are you like? You're not getting famous by splitting up. I don't think I know those songs like this. I don't think I've heard this.
Number
either.
6, Happy Mondays.
This is
Now
like
this
very
Motorholics
funky.
is what you call a Manchester band. From 1980 to 1993, Happy Mondays managed to gain quite the following in the UK, certainly with their 1990 album Pills and Thrills and Bellyaches.
I love that cover because it's very 90s, early 90s as well, early to mid 90s and late 80s. I love it.
But
Oh my.
considering that a band like New Kids on the Block was big in the United States at the time, well, that's just one reason why the Happy Mondays sound failed to connect with the American mainstream.
I'm wondering if like the mainstream was like, we already got one of those there, so bye.
Even so, this is a band that heavily influenced some of the more notable UK bands of the 90s, such as Oasis and the Stone Roses. Yet their sound embodies more of a distinct Euro vibe rather than trendy American hooks.
Those are like, I mean, I don't know how they feel about this, but I think that that's the case with like a lot of bands and like famous people, that they're not that famous, but they end up influencing like so many musicians. So it's like the general public doesn't know them, but like ask any musician and they'll definitely know. Okay.
Number 5, Stereophonics.
Wow, he has like a very interesting voice.
From the
Very
late
raspy.
90s to the early 2000s, this Welsh band established a reputation for their killer live shows. However, Stereophonics ultimately dismissed original drummer Stuart Cable in
That was his
2003,
name? Cable?
reportedly because he was more interested in his TV show than the band.
What was the
Sadly,
show?
Cable would pass away just 7 years later.
Oh,
In
sad.
their prime, Stereophonics was known as one of the most talented UK bands, releasing 5 #1 albums throughout the 2000s.
Oh my gosh, they were super
Yet
famous.
only one of those, 2001's Just Enough Education to Perform, managed to crack the US top 200 charts.
He has like a very particular voice. I like it.
Despite the lack of American buzz, Stereophonics continues in their native Wales as one of the most highly regarded UK bands of the 21st
Oh my
century.
god, okay, so they're super famous over there. What happened to the drummer? He just replaced him? Was it the drummer?
Number 4, Manic Street Preachers.
Okay, love that name. Oh, I like this.
Like many overly ambitious rock bands, this Wales group infamously hyped up their 1992 debut album, Generation Terrorists,
Okay.
and, well, failed to crack
What
Richie
happened to them?
Edwards. Their music is pure rock, something that US rock enthusiasts could easily get behind, or so it would seem.
Yeah.
But
Like,
while
this
the
is-
Manics
this sounds
became
cool.
iconic figures overseas, their sound just never translated to American mainstream
I'm wondering
consumers.
why.
Decades after the loss of Edwards, however, the Manics continue to wail.
I was gonna say maybe like they were too metal, but they're not even metal. They're just like rock. So I'm shocked, honestly, by the fact that they just never made it.
Number 3, Pulp.
Okay, this is also very catchy.
By the time of this band's success during the mid-90s Britpop era, they had already been together well over 15 years. And
Wow.
until then, Pulp had never actually landed a gold record, let alone an American hit.
But they keep trying. It's very like
But albums like
catchy.
Different Class and This Is Hardcore teased at a potential American crossover, with the latter finding its way to the US charts in 1996. At this time, though, reported drug use and internal scuffling shook up the band.
Okay,
and
that
Pup's
explains
final
it.
album was ultimately released in the early fall of 2001, peaking at number 6 in the UK charts. For a brief time, this group was on par with the likes of Oasis, but like the Gallaghers, Pulp just couldn't manage to keep the unit together.
It's hard to keep a band together. There's a lot of emotions running. It's a hard business as well.
Number 2, The Jam.
Okay, I love the name, The Jam. Oh, I like this.
Fronted by the multi-talented Paul Weller, a man known for his distinct British compositions, this band came, saw and conquered during their decade-long existence.
Okay.
Well, at least in the UK.
Not in America. Ooh, I love the bass.
Aesthetically, The Jam preceded punk, and they called it quits just as the new wave took off in the early 80s.
Okay.
In between, they released 6 acclaimed studio albums, with the last 5 climbing the UK charts.
So they're super famous.
Truth be told, The Jam
Or?
had somewhat of a steady presence in the US charts during their run, but despite their stylized look and obvious talent, the party ended with the 1982 release, The Gift.
Wow,
And just
that's
like
so
that,
long
The
ago.
Jam was gone before Americans could catch on.
And I like
Before
them.
we unveil our top pick, here are a few honourable mentions.
Oh, I like this song as well. This is very catchy, I like it.
You spend the evening unpacking books from boxes. You pass me up.
This sounds very British.
Break a promise.
Super British.
On the mad parade, when the midnight bells are chiming.
This sounds very almost folk.
Number 1, The Stone Roses.
Oh, I know, I've heard of them. Not this song, but others. They're very good as
Even
well.
vaguely familiar with the bravado and attitude of Oasis? Well, let's just say the Gallagher brothers were inspired by the Stone Roses. This is
Okay.
a band that once said America doesn't deserve us yet. And while they may have been right, the Stone Roses didn't seem in a hurry to record
I love this because it's like, I don't need you, you need me. I love this attitude, but I know it can sound a little bit like, what? It can come across as bad, obviously, especially for the American mindset, but I love them.
consistent music after the renowned 1989 debut.
I know this song. It's very catchy. I think they're very good.
In fact, it took a full 5 years for the Manchester group to drop a second album.
Okay.
The band folded for good less of 2 years later. Since then,
Oh, okay,
there's
so they
always
just
been talks of a
ended.
reunion, but it just never seems to happen. And
Okay.
so the Stone Roses will forever remain an acclaimed British rock band that failed to live up to their crossover potential.
I don't know how, I think they're pretty famous, actually.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from Watch Mojo UK and subscribe for new videos every day.
I think, do I agree? A little bit, not that much. I think the number one spot, I think most of them were not, I don't know if they were as obscure. I think they're just one-hit wonders because I think you've maybe heard of I can't tell you what the name of the song or what the actual name of the band is, but I know that I've heard it. It's in my collective consciousness that I know I've heard this before somewhere. I don't know if in some sort of show, movie, or radio, whatever, parties. I don't know. I've heard of this, but I think the last ones, right? I think they got a little more it started more with songs that I think are one-hit wonders, or at least they made it to the US. Probably, they're a little bit more common, as in again, I can't tell you the name, but I know I've heard this before. But obviously in the UK, they were pretty big. It's they are known for I can tell you the whole catalog and not just one song. But I think, and then we got very obscure. I don't think I've heard the others. I thought they were very good. But I think the Stone Roses, isn't that a pretty famous band? That to me, it's kind of shocking to see as oh, they never cracked America, because I'm I think those are not super famous, but I've heard of them. I've heard a few songs, a lot of songs actually. Well, I don't know what constitutes as a lot. They only play 3 or 4 songs, and it's yeah, I know, I've heard of those. But again, I think they're more famous than they think. I believe maybe they've had I don't know, because they're apparently broke up or something. But I think, again, they're like, I don't know if I agree. I think they're a little bit more famous than maybe people give them credit for. They're giving it like a lot of credit to I don't know, to this, but I don't know. I think they're a little bit more popular. But I think I love the mindset of, again, what I just said. I get it, and I said it earlier on, which I think a lot of people have, the whatever your nationality is, and what better, like, again, I think it comes from a lot, I think, in bands and in music in general. I think it's probably the more an area where I think it's pretty common to think to have like that thinking of like, I'm very famous here, right? Like in my country, and people know me, and great, and I've charted. But if I don't make it to the US, and if I don't chart over there, like on Billboard, or I think that's the thing they use, right? Like the charts. If I don't like make it over there, then I'm like, Am I that famous actually? Like, I think they're seen, because again, like the United States is like the biggest like cultural, especially with music. I think they have, and I know each country has its own charts, but I think it's really like the Billboard of it all that I think makes it like, so did I really made it if I'm not like if I didn't have like a #1 hit in the United States, which I think is like, again, that's the mindset that I think a lot of people have. I don't know if like the people have like less of that these days. But I love that the Stone Roses were like, no, we don't, like, they don't, like, I'm sorry, I don't want this. Like, I don't want to make it over there. They don't deserve us. They're not ready for us. It's like, oh my God, I love this. I love the whole mindset of like, yes, it's not about like proud even, because it's like, it's not about being proud, because I'm obviously like, people are proud of like, yes, what I did, and I charted in my country, and look at all my #1 hits. But it's like, again, a lot of people get this, and like, I want to break through, and I want to break out over there. And I love that for them. They were like, we don't care. And even then, it wasn't like they didn't consciously try to do it. And I still think they're super famous. Again, maybe not super famous, but just like, if I tell you like the Stone Roses, and I ask a lot of people, probably they'll tell me like people that like music, not just like random people on the street, but people that like music, I think will probably tell you, yes, I've heard of them before. But so that's what I said of like, I love that. I love the fact that they weren't like, so like, yes, we have to like break through, and it's like, we have to break out there. It's like, no, it just happened organically, which also like brings me to the point where I don't know, like, obviously those are like older bands. I think most of them were from the 80s, the 90s, and I think the most recent ones from like the early to mid 2000s. I don't really know how this system like works in this day and age, because I think with the internet, like, stuff is changed. It has changed. It's not even like changed. It has changed so much that I don't even know like how I think it's easier probably to break through and have like a breakout like song, probably because back in this day and age I was like wondering this, like, how to actually do people like made it, because you're famous. I think you start playing probably like in local bars, in local like spots, especially like the ones that there were like several from Wales. So it's like, yes, I imagine like you first like get famous over there, then it spreads out to like the whole Great Britain, and then you sort of like try to translate that to like across the pond. But it's like you probably are playing a lot of like local spots, and then probably you like send your song to radio, and then we're trying to like, but you need the publicity, of course. So you need to like go to the United States and like promote your song or your album. And that, I think that's how it was done, I think, back in those days. And it just like tells you how hard it must have been, because it's like, you really do have to like struggle, and it's a struggle. And I think it doesn't really matter if you're like, it's not about talent or if your song is good, because I was hearing, and I think all of them sounded great, and all the songs were super catchy. So it's not even of like a matter of having a song that's really, oh, it's super catchy. It's like, yes, that's good, and that's like a huge part of it. But I don't think that's remotely enough, as this is the case. It's like, I think you need a lot of luck as well, and probably more luck in those early, 20, 30 years ago, however long ago was 80s and 90s. Because it's like, yes, you really need to be in the right, it sounds so cliche, but I think it's true. You need to be in the right place in the right time. Because I think a lot of them were also like, and they mentioned it, like back in the time that they actually managed to actually get over there, it wasn't like the kind of music that they played was not in fashion. Like, it was not fashionable back in when they actually arrived. People were not listening to that anymore, which I think it's a sad thing, because I think music shouldn't be about trends either. But sadly, that is the case. And I think whatever you get again in the radio, like the top 40, it's gonna reflect what's famous. Like, oh, what's the musical style that is like very popular, in a particular time period. And of course, if you arrive a little earlier or a little later, people are not gonna listen to you, and that's sadly the reality. And of course, if you're coming into this like a little bit late, like people are just gonna get tired, and like I don't want to listen to this because we're already tired of this genre, or we're tired of this particular type of song, or even the band is like, oh, this band is not really cutting it. And if you're like you're way too early for this, and it's like it's better, I think, because then you get to see, like, people get to see you in retrospect as, wow, those Ghost Gods were like so avant-garde, and they were like so influential for a lot of people, as like we saw here, that apparently I can't remember the ones that actually, was it Stone Roses actually? I can't remember. But the ones that like the Oasis, that I think also are a famous band, I would say. They also like copy them, like Oasis copied them, and some of them were also like this other band that I can't remember. People like cited them as like being super influential to their music. So it's like, well, on one hand, it's sort of like a bittersweet situation, I would say, because on one hand, it's good that I've inspired like so many people, and so many bands, but on the other hand, I would think it's like a little, well, what a sad thing. Like, I'm glad that you're like reaping the benefits of what I created, or you got influenced by me, which great, thanks for crediting me. But at the end of the day, I'm not seeing like either, people do not know me, so I'm not famous, and I don't have the money that you have. So it is a little bit like, again, it's like a bittersweet situation. And again, it's not like it's anyone's fault. It's just like, it's the masses, and it's people, and it's society. So it's like, you can't blame anyone. But I do wonder if a lot of those bands that are later seen as like so influential, it's like, well, but I'm not that famous. So it is like, well, thank you for giving me the credit, but I didn't actually get to see any of it. So it is a little bit sad. And again, it tells you need to be in the right place, in the right time. And there's just like so many factors, like talent. It's not enough. It's not enough to have good songs. It's not enough to have like be a good band in general. You need to have so many things. And obviously all the factors that actually made it so that you're a successful band, like, throughout the years, I think that's another story. Because it's like, if you get like, again, being famous and the perils of like, this kind of like environment and the music, and the actual like creative process, I think it's very hard. And it's a really tough business. And also, I think when you have a band and it's not just like you on your own, which I think it can be equally as hard. But I think with a band, there's like a lot of egos involved, and there's people that you have to see, every single day, and you have to work with them. But it's not like a co-worker. It's a very special, like, it's a very different relationship when you're working creatively with people. It's not like a co-worker. It's just like, again, it can be intense, and it can be a little, it's hard. Like, whoever's been in a creative relationship with someone else, like it's tough, and it's a very particular kind of like environment, and it's a different type of relationship that you have with those people, or with that person. And it is understandably so that they're like, so they got into fights, they got into internal rifts, they weren't seeing eye to eye, because that is what happened. And that's definitely what happens when you're working creatively with people. Actually, I think all the creative like elements and all the creative sort of like businesses, when you have to work with a lot of people, and again, it's not like a movie or even a show where you're like, I can go home and rest. It's like, no, with a band, it's like you're there, and it's just like, it wasn't for 6 months, it was like for years that I actually had to be there, had to be with them. And and again, it's not the same as like a movie, even, because I think a movie is just like a little bit different in the sense of like, maybe someone writes the script, and then like you get directed, and or you're directing or you're acting. It's different. I think music is just a very collaborative process in general, and it can lead to like so many things. And again, it's like it's the creative process, but it's different from any sort of medium that I can think. So it's hard for a band to actually like stay together throughout the years, because it is hard to actually work, again, in the creative business with someone for so long. And also, like, each one of them has some like thing. So it's understandably, it's like, yes, I can see why, they just like broke up. But, or they just stopped making music, or maybe they just like stopped trying, if they were like, I accomplished everything that I wanted to do. But I think something that's really intriguing to me is like all those bands, like Pulp, The Jam, like those were the names that I can't remember, but there were others that I don't think are like that. They don't really get like cult status, like I think someone like the Stone Roses probably has, and I think the others that I think are more newer, like there was like one that I think was called Kasabian, like those I think are probably, because probably they're newer, so I don't know if they're still playing or something, or they're still like, you know, actively involved in the music business. But, you know, there's still, like, I think it's a little bit of a different situation. With those, like, I think, like, Pulp or, again, The Jam, I'm thinking of those in particular because they gave me, like, that vibe of, like, they broke up, like, so long ago. Like, one of them broke up, like, in 1983. It's, like, great. They just said, I did what I had to do. They broke up. They were like, I don't want to make music anymore. What do like in this, like today, like what are they doing? I would love to track them down and see like how was it being like this incredibly, like this famous person, this famous musician in your country. You try to make it, you didn't make it, but then, you know, you had to like go back to a regular job. Like what's up with your life in this you know, in this era? Like I don't know, I'm so curious. It's very intriguing to me, like the thing of like being almost like you almost had it, or at least you were super famous, you know, in one particular time period. And then it is like it went kapoof, like it's over for different reasons. Maybe they was like, no, it's a personal choice. Like maybe they got into fights and were like, no, we're splitting up. And then I wasn't like, my heart wasn't in it. This business wasn't for me. I didn't want to continue making music. Like whatever the reason it is, but it's gonna be quite I think a hard adjustment period to just like go back to a normal office job. Can you go back to a normal office job after something like this? After like, I've been in bands, like I've been in concerts, I played for like thousands of people. Like I don't want to, like, do you want to go to my 8 to 5 job? Like no, I don't want to do this. So I would love to know like what's up with like where are they now? Or maybe they just like stayed behind the scenes. Maybe they just like work in music, like the band split up. They were like working as producers, or maybe like as musicians in general, but like musicians for other people. Or maybe like they're working as songwriters, but would love to know. Or like they just literally went, no, thank you, and they just moved to a farm in Wales or something. But that was it for today. And I'm gonna go and look up like a lot of these songs because I actually really do like them. But that was it for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.